I'm going to go through a couple of different examples of filling out GM forms. So you're going to start from the My Sites page, click on your site, click on Biennial Report, and then click on Create New Submission. So there's this new message here about if you want to notify the regulator that you don't need to submit a biennial report, click here. And it says this option is going to let you submit the site identification form, but will not include the GM form or the WR or OI form. But the GM or generation and management form is the main part of the report. And so this is saying, you're exempt, you don't need to fill out the report, and you're not going to have any GM forms. And I'm just going to click to show you what this looks like. It essentially is just like the notification form through the MyRCRA ID module. It's going to take you straight to this one form. And for number one, the reason for submittal is defaulted to you're submitting it as part of a biennial report. Okay, so we go back again to create a new submission. It's gonna ask you if you want to upload a file or continue to data entry, and you're going to continue to data entry. And then it's going to ask, do you want to bring forward the data from the most recent report for this site? I recommend that you don't. You can view the data on the dashboard here. You can click on the eye icon to view a previous report or the printer icon to make it into a PDF, which you can then print if you'd like to. But if you bring forward the data, it's just easy to make mistakes. So I wouldn't bring forward any data. I'm going to click on no. And then you're ready to start entering your data. So once you have a report that you've started, you click the pencil icon to go back in there and edit it. And you're just going to click on Add a new GM form. So here's the form that corresponds with that printed copy that you may have been using as a worksheet. So number 1A, waste description, right? So we're going to go back to those instructions about trying to provide a complete description of what kind of waste this is, where it came from, and what is the associated hazard, or what's making it a hazardous waste. So for this example, I'm going to do the second line on this manifest here. So waste flammable liquids, not otherwise specified, alcohols, and acetone. This is not bad as a waste description. It does tell you that it's hazardous because it's flammable. It also tells you that it's liquid. And then it tells you the main hazardous constituents, which are alcohols and acetone. It doesn't tell you what the source of the waste is. So we're going to add that to our waste description. And then I think I'm also going to add that this is organic liquid. So I'm going to call it waste organic liquid flammable from inventory cleanout. And I'm going to put alcohols and acetone. And then the waste codes on the manifest are in block 13, D001 for ignitable, and then U002, which I believe is acetone. So we'll take those over here. And for you, I'm going to type it in instead of scrolling down. So it'll bring me right there, and then check the checkbox. And then once it's selected and moved over here, you can mouse over and it'll tell you what that is. So yeah, U002 is the code for acetone. And for source codes, we're going to read the blue headings first. So waste from ongoing production and service processes, waste from other intermittent events or processes, residuals from pollution control and waste management, waste from spills and accidental releases, Waste from remediation, waste received by an LQG from a VSQG under the control of the same person, waste not physically generated on site, and then that's it. So unless this is from a spill, it's probably product that just became unsaleable from this retail store. So I'm going to choose this discarding off specification out of date and or unused chemicals or products. Of course, you should have real information and not be guessing, but I'm just going to go with this. And then for the form code, we know that it's liquid, and then alcohols or acetone is going to be organic. So organic liquids. So we don't have a really specific code here for alcohol or acetone. So I'm going to pick W219 for other organic liquid. And then since I've chosen this other 219, I have to fill in the comment block to explain what other is. And then for waste minimization codes, you're just going to read over the descriptions and examples in the code list, determine whether there was a waste minimization effort, whether it was a new effort or the continuation of an ongoing effort, or if there wasn't one, why there wasn't one. Sometimes if you have waste that's kind of a one-time deal, if it's from a spill or it just doesn't make sense to do a waste minimization effort because it's something that's never going to happen again, there's a code for that. In this case, I'm going to say continued an initiative to reduce the quantity or toxicity of the waste. And going back to the manifest to pick up the amount, we have 50 pounds. So on the manifest, the code for pounds is the letter P, but here on the biennial report, the code for pounds is 1. And this is assuming that the waste was generated in the reporting year and shipped during the reporting year. That's just how I'm filling this out. So part 1 of the GM form describes the waste. Then part 2 is for on-site management, and part 3 is shipping. So I know that for most generators here in Hawaii, you're shipping all of your waste off to the mainland. You're not managing it yourself on site. So you're just going to skip over part 2 and complete part 3, telling where the waste has been shipped off to be managed. So we're matching up the waste line number with the number for the management method code block. So this is waste line 2, and I'm looking at management method code that's numbered number 2, and I've got H141. So this year there's a new option when you have H141, which indicates storage and bulking. So this receiving facility received this waste and stored it for a period of time under their permit, and then they shipped it off to another TSDF. So when you see this code H141, you can either use this code for this year, or you can use an S code indicating that it was stored at this site, sent off to another permitted site, and what the ultimate disposition of it at that site was. So I want to check in block 18B to see if there's an alternate TSDF, and there's not. So that means the TSDF is listed in block 8. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that EPA ID number for the site that the waste went to. And then I'm going to select the code. So here I can do H141, which is what the manifest says. Or if I have the information about what happened ultimately to this waste, I might want to use an S code to say that this waste was, for example, stored at this site, but then transferred to another TSDF and ultimately incinerated. And then I would just go on and fill out the rest of one GM form per waste stream.